I show you how it works for them, and I understand that. But you understand, it's by case-to-case basis. We're all different. You know, we all have different dynamics. So how is it that you're in a relationship with a gentleman? Like, human beings are so complex, right? So we have where we were born, right? Our parents, right? Their environment, and then what happened during our upbringing. All of those things mashed together created who you are. All of those combination, and then obviously much more. You take all of that and you bring another person who's probably not from where you're from, you know, obviously two different parents, you know, and all these different factors, right? Like, for example, your fiance, she's from Monticello.
Monticello?
Monticello.
Oh, Monticello?
I'll be saying it wrong. I have to say it because the mustache, you know, Monticello. So she's from Monticello, and I'm from St. Martin. Talk about worlds apart. Like, I have to take a plane to come to see, you know, if I was living where I'm from. And my island is 37 square miles, really, really tiny in comparison to all of Florida, you know. So, and we speak a little different. You know, we do things a little different. You know, clean house a little different. We cook different foods. You know, a lot of different factors that we have. You know, and I embrace that because how could you learn new things if you don't get exposed to new things? You know, and so, but one thing that we do have in common, and the story between me and her is, it's a book in itself, to be honest with you. What I knew about her, right, that made me new right away, is that we have the same spirit, you know? And I told her, this was like 3 months of knowing her, by the way, so it wasn't like, you know, years.
Years.
Right, and we were just talking last night, I showed her a text message, you know? I said, I told her, yeah, we was wilding in text messages, but that's not the point. I said, look at these text messages, look what we said. And one of them was talking about how, you know, I was letting her know that I appreciate the night, even that we share together, etc. And I want you to know that I have this affinity towards you. And I can see that I have that so early on because I know the spirit that she has. You know, and she hasn't deviated too far from the, you know, the person that I met her all this while, she's the same person, you know, more or less, you know, but, and
They say women know they know.
I believe that.
Yeah, my husband, similarly, my husband is Zambian, and we met online.
Okay.
And it was within 3 months that we first met in person, but we were engaged very soon after that.
Right.
You know, it's
the same story. It was not even 3 months and I already proposed. You know, yeah, we met May 17th.
Okay.
And then August 24th.
Okay.
Yeah. So people think, you know, I think this is, and I tell her this because we had a whole ordeal. But I tell her like this, I said, men propose, women accept. Right? That's how it happens. Unless you're proposing to yourself and then you're accepting it yourself, then that's a whole other party. Right? But I mean,
it made me think about there has been a situation when people marry them like they married inanimate objects. Wow. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean?
I toast the oven.
I'm sorry. You digress. Finish your story.
So, that's hilarious. So that's, you know, something I tell her. I said, I knew what I was looking for. You know, so the Bible talks about Proverbs 31, you know, and verse 10 downwards, and what a virtuous woman is. But I have dated, I have done all sorts of stuff, and you kind of get an understanding of who is and who isn't a wife. So in the book also it says that not everything in trousers is a man, not everything in a dress is a woman.
Right.
Just because, you know, you have a child, that doesn't make you qualified to be a mother. Yes, you have a child, but you know what it means you know, to be a mother, like all of what it means, it's not just having a nice shiny baby to let your neighbors know, hey, I have a baby. There's a journey with this baby. The journey you also become, you know, with this baby. So, and just because I stand here and I'm wearing pants, that doesn't necessarily make me a man. You know what it means to be a man? Oh, you just gotta talk like this. And, you know, do like this. Right. And they think that's not, it's more than that. You know, so I've dated, it just haven't gone past that. And I think nothing's wrong with dating if you know what you're looking for. And I think in the book also I said, knowing what you don't want is just as important as knowing what you do want. Because if you go to a restaurant and they have all this food here, and you're like, wow, they all look so good. All right. Well, do you know what you don't want? Okay, do you know what you're allergic to? You know what I mean? Like, do you know what you don't want? Let's filter that out first. So you're looking for all these men. Well, what in here do you don't want? You know, in these things. Now, if it's the shallow things, oh, I don't want a short guy. Lord, now we're going into preferences. I don't want to fill in the blank, you know, of what this world is talking about. They're giving, it's in the book, they're giving love a face before love arrives.
Was that in the book?
It's in the book.
That quote right there?
It's just coming to me, you know? So, you're giving love a face. Stop saying you need a man to be 6 feet tall, you need to have six-pack abs, and you need to make 6 figures. You're giving love a face. The husband who will love you for everything you are and everything you aren't showed up. But because he didn't, you're like, he's a friend. Oh, he's a good friend. You know that one? Oh, he's a best friend. You know, he's not someone, he's just a good friend of mine. He's always there when I need him. You know, he's always supportive. He's up, sounds like a husband. He's always supportive. He's always loving. He's always there when you need me. He's reliable. Whoa. Isn't that qualities of a person you want in your life? You know, someone you want to be with? But a lot of relationships are based on, you know, preferences and visuals, you know? So one thing I purpose in my heart, I've given chances to all types of women in my life because I just didn't know who was going to love me for real. Too many people have pretended, you know, to be this person, and they can pretend. You talk about men pretending? In my little journey, you know, I've seen people put on the whole mask.
Okay? My husband says it's a long con. And they can do it for years.
Yes. And they will, until they get you nice, hook and sinker. You know, hook, line, and sinker. And it feels to me like you want to give people a chance, right? But because I've done that, the dating world for so long, immediately I can filter out what's immediately.
You have to be able to filter.
And if you don't do that, you're just going another 2 months of the rigmarole.
And because people, I know I always get the question of finding love online, like the people are fearful of the con. And what my husband and I always say is the con can be right there in your face and still be applied the same way. You are not asking the right questions. And making them give you answers, not talking around. Because anybody can call you whether it's in your face or online. A con is a con.
That's right. And that's true because people are asking questions like, okay, what do you work? What is your favorite color? What are your favorite food? That's not the meat and potatoes. I mean, that if I'm 12 years old.
And ask it 3 days later and see if you still get the same answer. Because it's harder to remember a lie than it is. Because truth you don't have to
That's
remember.
right. You just
My
know.
dad always said that. Truth you never have to remember. But a lie is so hard to maintain.
You gotta remember.
You keep asking the same question over and over and over again. Sooner or later that lie is going to rise up. You have to be paying attention.
Story change.
And how a person reacts to being asked the same question over and over again. Are they impatient of the fact that you keep asking? Are they patient? Or the opposite, are they patient about it? It doesn't seem to just roll off of them because they understand
innately you begin to understand that they're making sure you're telling the truth.
Right.